Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Don't Blame Me. Welcome, or welcome back, or fuck off.
Choose your poison.
It's a choose your own adventure. Swipe or no swiping. I always think of Dora the Explorer as a choose your own adventure, but it's actually the exact opposite. Like, Dora has chosen everything for you.
Mm-hmm.
I remember as a kid, I would the kids I would babysit would watch it. And I used to like say, like, when Dora's like, where is this? And I would say like the wrong thing. And they were like, no. And then Dora would be, then they would say the right thing. And then Dora would be like, yeah, they're like, see, we're right. And I'm looking at them like, you idiots, you don't even know. This is already made. She's not responding to you. I wouldn't
But
say
that's
it.
the genius behind Dora.
It is. I like it. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I don't know if your sisters already know about this, but I saw this on a TikTok, and I don't know if any of the kids are in the, like, I mean, first of all, I love Baby Shark. Baby Shark's a bop. Like, big fan.
I already know what you're going to say. Gracie's Corner.
Holy Mots and I, we're like Spotify, Gracie's Corner, like pumping up, like great. So good.
Oh, yeah. Melanie, she's the only one that has a kid that would fall into the right age group with. So Aubrielle was very into Coco Melon. And I was like, Melanie, free yourself. Get onto Gracie's Corner. And it took her a few days. And then she finally did. And she was like, these are bops. Like, I'm excited to listen to this. And I said, I tried to bring you over to this side a long time ago. Well, 3 days before, but you wasted your time.
Bops.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just turning out bops. And I think about it, it's like must have how adults felt.
And they got the dancing too.
Oh, yeah. It must have been how adults felt listening to Dragon Tales versus like the Proud Family. Like, one of these things is a musical genius.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is a run-of-the-mill children's television.
Right.
Like, I was just so impressed, and I desperately need to get our nephew on it so we can get him off the fucking Blippi train.
Oh, yeah.
Hate Blippi. Like, I mean, first of all, anyone, if you want to read some weird shit, go to the Blippi Wikipedia to, like, know the Blippi controversy. Blippi had this one random fucking controversial... Okay, I'll just say it. Blippi allegedly, I don't think it's alleged, I'm pretty sure it's all proven, but it was on Wikipedia, which we know is a very credible source. To be fair, it actually is now. So
it used to not be, but now it is.
Yeah. But Blippi, like, I think, like, right when he started his channel, or like right before, he like tried a different venue like to see what would kick off. And it was like just like poop joke / fetish videos. And so like it's all these like really disgusting, like not funny videos of like some other really gross stuff. And I think Blippi's been franchised essentially. I think that's like exactly what's actually happened. But like you can go to a Blippi concert and it's just like some fucker dressed, quote unquote, as Blippi. It's not even Blippi. And if you go on Blippi's YouTube channel, Blippi was on like paternity leave or something, which great for Blippi, very pro paternity leave. You just brought someone else dressed as Blippi? Like, I was up in arms about, like, redo it, like, the new Steve. But at least, like, we were assimilated into that. We were introduced. It wasn't just one day. Like, it's not like every day there was, like, a new Steve variant just, like, running around on our TV, like, getting the mail. No. Like, they had some respect, but like, no, Blippi is just like, we're swapping in whoever. I don't like it.
As a soap opera fanatic, this is up my alley because it happens all the time. So one day it'll be like, and the role of whoever is being played by whoever.
But they say that.
Yeah, they do.
They don't say that on Blippi. And also, like, you go see Blippi in concert. It's not the Blippi, like, who are you going to see? You can hire a Blippi for your birthday party. You can't hire Ariel for your birthday party. You can hire, like, a mermaid princess who dresses somewhat like Ariel, but, like, they're not claiming to be Ariel, but everyone's like, yeah, I'm Blippi. And it's like, well, the real Blippi, please stand up.
Blippi is whoever you want Blippi to be.
Well, I don't like Blippi in general, and there's just too many of them running around. Well, this is Don't Blame Me. We're an advice podcast. Clearly, as you can tell, I guess I should introduce ourselves. Hi, my name is Megan, and I am a Leo sun. I am an Aquarius rising, and I'm a Pisces moon. Melissa, would you like me to pull up your birth chart for you again?
My name's Melissa Diamond-Mont, and I am an Aquarius sun, a bad moon, and a whatever the other one is, bitch.
I'm a bitch rising.
That's what it is? Okay.
House? Okay. What house?
In the house of Darion.
Ooh, wow.
Deep cut. Deep cut.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to give wonderful advice, life-changing, amazing advice. And you might be wondering, how are these two absolute visions, which, by the way, if you want to see how stunning and amazing they are, and if you just want to support the show, head on over to the Patreon. You can watch the video for $1 a month, or you can subscribe to our Patreon and pledge $5 a month. We do 2 live streams a month. How many times can I say month? We have a great time. It's very fun. And you can also see the zit that I have that Melissa tried to flick off of her computer screen because she thought that there was a spot. And I was like, nope, that's on my face. Don't worry about it.
Yep. I also have one too. Right in the middle. That's not in the middle. I take it back. I don't want to falsely give them assumptions about what's going on. I have one that's on my head.
Oh, like last time when I said we do all of the videos nude.
And then I amended it to we do them with no bras on, which is correct.
And rarely underwear.
Yeah, don't have on any now.
I don't got any underwear on or any bra on. So I head on over to the Patreon and then use your imagination. AAA. So yeah, you might be wondering how we are qualified to give this amazing advice. And we're not. And we're going to do it anyway, because who better to give you advice than 2 people who just have a lot of opinions? The answer is a therapist, but sometimes therapists, they want you to get to that information yourself, or maybe you want to talk to your friends and your friends are going to sugarcoat it for you. We're the people that you call when you're like, maybe my friends are lying to me. I don't feel like anyone's being honest with me. Like, I need you to be straight up, or maybe I don't want to tell my friends, or maybe I just need permission from people who are like my peers to do something like this. So that's what we're here for. But again, if it's like a question, it's advice, okay? But like if you need like a fire department, like call a fire department. Anyways, I'm very tired.
You said a lot of things there, things that I'm not sure I followed you, but I'm here for the ride.
You know what? That's all I can ask for anybody who's in my life. I don't need active participants. I need an audience. And that's fine. Anyways, what is new with you?
Oh, I did find out that The Bold and the Beautiful has every episode ever made up on their YouTube channel.
Ooh, that's dangerous.
I haven't seen a soap opera like from day one before. This one is like, of the soaps that are on, this is the newest one. Like it started in 1987. So like the other ones started like in the 50s, 60s. So they have access, because a lot of the old ones, they don't even have access because people were using tape and sending them out, and then they would just throw them away because they didn't repeat things. And so they have access to their old tapes. And so still a good chunk of the people that were on there in the beginning are still on now. And seeing the plastic surgery, they were unrecognizable. I was like, I know you've been playing this character. I know you've been playing this character from day one, but you look absolutely nothing like
who's this bitch?
Yeah, I was like, and then there's like some other people that I've seen, and I was like, I know this person. I don't know who the hell this is. They're on a different soap, but like I didn't. Again, the plastic surgery is just
wow.
Yeah,
it's clockable.
Yeah,
like you can see it.
I'm like, I know the mannerisms, I can hear the voice, but who the fuck is this?
Tricky.
Yeah, but also just like the pacing of the show and seeing how they got to where they are now. I watched like that soap it's a half hour, so it's only like 20 minutes when it airs. So I watched like 15 episodes. I was like, wow, this was really good. Like, it's really good.
I'm sorry, we need to circle back. Do you mean to tell me that there are other soap operas that have hour-long spots?
Yeah. All the other ones, General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, and Young and the Restless that are on right now.
I want to know how much acid and LSD those writers do to be able to constantly be churning out. Like, they're like fucking Santa's toy workshop of storylines. And I didn't even cross my mind that they would be hour-long spots. Like, I was like, of course they're half hour, because like, how the fuck do they keep? Holy shit. Every day I'm more impressed. Every day I'm more. And that even makes it harder because of like, you memorize it like a play. And for actors too.
And they're like 80 pages. Like, I asked a friend who is on, I have friends on 3 soap operas, but I asked one that's on one of the hour, that's on one of the hour ones. And they're like, yeah, they're 70 to 80 pages. And so I was like, damn, that's a lot when the episodes only come out to be like 34 minutes because of, they're 36 minutes because of all the ad breaks and stuff. But yeah, they memorize a lot.
You can always tell on a set, like, of actors, like you can always tell who has come from like the soap world, not based on like the style of acting necessarily at all. Like, I think a lot of people think of like, oh, if you're on a soap, you can't. It's not like, I love my friends who've been on Disney Channel, but like they did have to like kind of either work on things simultaneously while on Disney Channel or have to unlearn the style. But soap, it's not like that. Like, you can do anything, but people have this assumption. But like, you can tell based on how they like literally read the script. It's like, it's mind blowing. Like, normally you're in a hair and makeup trailer, like you get your sides for the day, which if people don't know, like your sides are like these small little mini scripts. They kind of look like just like they're just very small, like half a piece of paper, size wise, stapled together. And it has the scenes you're doing that day. It could be half of a scene, part of a scene, or whatever. So normally on like a movie set, let's say, it's way less pages. Maybe it's like 8, maybe 12.
Yeah, a big a big day is like anything over 7 is a big day.
So like a 12 would be like lots of not dialogue. Like, that would be like a big exposition one. But like 8 would be like a big dialogue day. But like, you'll have 4-page days. You'll have 3-page days. You'll have 5-page. Like, and then on a TV show, you might have like a fine day would be 8 to 9 pages, and a really hard day would be like 14, and then an impossible day would be like 16, 17. Like, so now imagine 80, but the people who would be on them were all in hair and makeup trailer. They would you just see their eyes scan one time through, put it down, and they're good. And not once they pick it up ever again. And I'm like, I'm sorry, never call line. They know it.
Because on soaps, they only get one take. They get one, maybe 2, but like, they have to move on. And so, because it moves so fast. And so that's why like soaps get like this name about themselves. But you have to keep in mind that like, they don't even, unless they're running lines with their scene partner in their trailer, they don't even get a table read. They don't get a rehearsal. They're just coming in, hitting what they have to do, and then they're done.
Yep. And they never ask for like I've had soap actors like see other actors call, like, hey, could I get a second? Do we have time? Could I do a second take? And they'll be like, oh, you can do, oh, yeah, no, I wouldn't. I mean, I can do another if you want. And I'm just like, oh, wow. It's amazing. It's like, it's super impressive. So now knowing, holy fuck, I'm so impressed. Wow. Soaps. Well, I'm really happy for you. And I think personally, I mean, let's not post it online. I'm sure there are lots of before and after plastic surgeries. But if you come across a fantastic one and you want to slide me the name.
Oh, I will.
Let me know.
Main one that just like, I was like, ooh, this is the same person.
I love plastic surgery. Do whatever the fuck you want. But it's fascinating.
I think it's great. It's just fascinating how much. Granted, she was like 20. She was in her early 20s when she started. And now she's in her 60s, I believe. Late 50s, early 60s, I believe. And so, you know, of course, aging wise. But like, she looks great now. It's just like, doesn't look the same. Yeah.
Yeah. I live for that shit. Live for it. Well, love that for you.
Thank you.
I have just gotten back from the wedding, my best friend's wedding. I went to Sydney's wedding. She's married, where I sat at the table with all of like my friends. I mean, one of my friends has been there who I've known since like before I was born. And the rest I met when I was like 11. And so we were like the OG old school, like childhood through adult friends. So we were the table who was just sobbing, crying the whole time. And it is so weird. Such a different experience when like, because I haven't been to a wedding of someone I'm like really close to and like really close to like their whole family and like watching all of that. So like, it's a very trippy experience, but I just have to say, I looked so good. I looked amazing. And like, she looked beautiful. She looked amazing. Of course, she like stunning bride. And I wore this like floor length cutout hot pink sequin dress, which everyone was like, oh my God, your dress. I like word vomited. Like I had Sydney's approval. She loves the dress. And they were like, okay, I wasn't questioning that. But I was like, I just feel like I needed to like have a Post-it on my head that was like, this is where she says this was okay. But it was like crazy to be like, holy shit, who said that you're old enough to get married? And it's so funny because like our other friend who's there with like her family, Gracie, is also engaged and is getting married later this year. And I'm also engaged. And so like Gracie's parents and Sydney's parents, like I feel like it must have been such a trippy thing to like look at these like three kids, like, and suddenly all three of us are engaged at the same time and like are all there with our partners. And like, that was just like, wow, it made me feel like so grown up because I was also seeing the kids there who were younger, who like I didn't even recognize, who had to come up to me. I was like, Megan, hey. And I was like, hi. And they're like, it's so-and-so. Like, it's this person's kid or whatever. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, because that age, when you see someone when they're like, I don't know, like 11 or 12, and then suddenly they're in their 20s, you're like, what the fuck? Sometimes I think like it's hard to recognize when you yourself are aging, when people are like, oh my gosh, like you're so grown up or whatever. And now that I'm in that stage where people who are younger than me will like recognize like me and be like, and then they have to tell me who they are. And it blows my mind. It's just it's so crazy. And it makes me be like, oh my God, wow, this is how these other people must have felt with like me when I was younger. And like now I'm getting to kind of experience that side of it. And I don't know, there's something like obviously like women have this insane pressure about like aging in like the aesthetic sense of it. But in like the sentimental sense, like I just think it's so cool to like see people grow up in a way that like it's like a very exciting thing. Like it's a privilege to be able to like grow older and then also watch other people grow older. Like we're not doing it alone or by ourselves. And you know, there's this notion that there's like a certain age cap where aging no longer becomes cool. But I think like focusing on how awesome it is that these like, it is cool no matter what age you are, but like how.
I love seeing just people through the years and seeing how they've aged.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
I just think bodies are cool.
Oh my God. When people like, especially the young boys who like shoot the fuck up. And I'm like, I'm sorry, when did you get so fucking tall? Or also, like, do you know that like majority of like people who are assigned like men at birth, like people who are born with penises tend to like their trajectory of like height Like, they don't stop growing until much later. One of my best friends, Jake, I was like, dude, you've like grown 2 inches in the last like couple years. Like, you've gotten taller and you're 29. Like, the fuck? So crazy. So crazy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I've been the same height since I was 12.
Same.
And I like this height. And this is a height that works for me.
It's a perfect height for you. I do sometimes wish I was shorter, but then sometimes I'm like, but I wouldn't, if I woke up in a different body, I'd be like, what happened? You know? Which I think we all would, because that's Freaky Friday. A fantastic film.
Which version?
You and Mott's hate it.
It's not, well, I mean, there's several versions of it, but my biggest gripe is it's weird because like
what Mott says.
I have to go to the bathroom and wipe my mom's cat.
I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, like
Mott's told me that Freaky Friday is, because like we had this whole list of, I was like, I need you to see movies that have shaped me into who I am. We're still working on Aquamarine, but he was like, I'm having a really hard time watching a movie with Emma Roberts and JoJo and if Sarah Paxton as a fucking mermaid. And I'm like, it's wonderful. But he agreed on Freaky Friday because he was like, love a Lindsay Lohan movie, love Jamie Lee Curtis. He just was pacing the whole time in this movie. And he goes, this is the scariest movie I've ever seen. I was like, you've seen like Hereditary. He goes, this is worse.
There's so many iterations of that movie. Like I grew up watching, like it used to, on the Disney Channel, they used to play the like maybe 70s version of it all the time. It's the same movie essentially, but I just can't get over the fact that like, let's say you have a sexual urge and you're like in your mom's body.
That's disgusting.
That's gross. That's so disgusting. Gross.
See, that's a valid point. Mott's thing comes from the sheer fear of Jamie Lee Curtis. His fear is from the sexual predator things that just naturally occur there that we're supposed to be like okay with. Yeah. And he's like, Lindsay Lohan is like such a cunt, not her, but like the fact that like she's letting her mom be a sexual predator is like really like he couldn't finish watching it and like we're not allowed to talk about it. And I do think it's funny that he says it's the scariest, most stressful movie he's ever seen, and he loves horror movies, but he would rather watch those.
He'd rather watch Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween as opposed to Freaky Friday.
Yes, and that's
the
I think
Scream
part of the
Queen
reason
herself,
the Scrum Queen, Activia. Anyways,
which is why she was in Scream Queens. Think about it.
I thought my brain went to like because of the Activia couch, and I was like, no, from the she's
the Scream Queen. She still is. They're still making those Halloween movies.
Yeah, I didn't learn that until after Scream Queens. Which, by the way, I don't watch any of other Ryan Murphy's shows. Just like not usually my thing because like scary stuff freaks me out as it's intended. But Scrum Queens, also known as Scream Queens, is like
it's perfect.
It's perfect in the fact that like we as a society let that and Bridget Mendler's music career just pass us by and not Bridget Mendler. You need to listen to it because you will pop bops. She was just releasing bop after bop after bop. And we just took it as, another girl with a music career. And no, like it was a cultural reset and we have failed her. And that was the day that I realized that we as a society, I don't know if we could be saved, but I need her music career to come back. It's so good.
Okay. Our music rarely crosses.
Yes, but like you like Taylor Swift Love Story, and that's country. This isn't country, but that same sort of like, I don't know what's it. Have you seen Josie and the Pussycat Dolls? Pussycats. Yeah. I don't know why. It's Nicole Scherzinger there with her. It's just Josie and the Pussycat. So you know when they have that like addictive thing in the music or whatever, that's what her music is like. Like there's MSG in it. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like there's just something.
Okay.
Je ne sais quoi. Let's get into the episode. Before we do that, I have to give you the phone number so you can call for an upcoming episode. You can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. Or international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. You have 3 minutes. It will literally cut you off. So to make best use of your time, we suggest that you write everything down that you want to say and make sure you include as much relevant information. You have to be 18 or over, have your parents' permission. But like, if you're 23, the advice we might give you might be different than if you're 30, or if it's about relationships, including how long you've been together and how old the other person is. If you want to include your pronouns, please feel free to do so. But if you write it down, take your phone out or a timer or any other mechanism for keeping time, and time it out so it's under 3 minutes, and you can practice to make sure of that and you have all of the relevant information, because the best advice we can give you is when we have best information. So practice a couple times and then record, and who knows, you might hear yourself on an episode.
I hear myself in a lot of episodes.
Me too. It's crazy.
It's wild.
Crazy.
You crazy girl.
Hey, Meghan and Melisa. I love both your podcasts. I look forward to hearing your perspectives every week since I discovered them a year ago. I'm calling for advice about my longtime best friend, but more broadly, I'm trying to figure out how to handle friendships, but yeah, whatever, changing from closer to more casual in your adulthood. I'm very wordy, so I've had to leave out details and feelings. I'm 29, use she, her pronouns, and I'll call my best friend Michelle. She's 28 and uses she, her pronouns. To get straight to what prompted me calling in, my birthday was this past Saturday, and when Sunday evening rolled around without a call or text from Michelle, I called our mutual friend, my other longtime best friend from middle school, Kelly, and vented to her about this. She messaged Michelle on IG, even though I told her not to, asking if she'd forgotten my birthday. Michelle responded that she'd wished me happy birthday on Facebook Messenger. I don't have notifications on, so I went to go see her message, and it was a simple happy birthday with 2 hearts after another friend in a group message we have, who I'm less close to, has sent me a slightly longer, more enthusiastic birthday message. My hurt around this birthday message is compounded by the fact that I texted her and trying to plan floating on my birthday, asking if she was available on 2 different weekend days, the first being my actual birthday, and she replied that her boyfriend's good high school friends were visiting she and her boyfriend's house on my actual birthday weekend, but she should be free the other day. By the way, I dated one of boyfriend's said friends for 3 months earlier this year and cut things off because he wanted something more casual, so she'd be spending time with him on my birthday. It really hurt me, but I reasoned with myself that I had given her a choice. It had obviously been planned farther in advance. I was only giving a month's notice or so. So I gave a lukewarm response saying that I'd let her know if the date worked for most people, trying not to overreact. She then said she might be able to get away from her place for a day if my birthday was the date we went with. And I told her that meant a lot. But then I decided to do 2 separate, smaller get-togethers since our friends were kind of split in half with when they were available. But my actual birthday crew ended up dwindling from 8 people to 3 due to unforeseen things that came up for people. Anyways, it feels like the window to voice my feelings on this is closed, and that this is the latest episode in a saga with like the last 4 years of our friendship, where I feel like I'm more invested, putting in more effort and energy to keeping it alive. Do you think it's even worth bringing up how hurt I felt about her treatment towards my birthday? Do you think I'm being unfair and letting resentment build up and so it's partially on me? Do you think I need to let her fade to casual? She was the best friend who I felt like I could tell anything, and I like to keep my friends. It's hard to find new casual friends, let alone a new best friend. I appreciate any advice you guys have on this because it's really been weighing on me for a little while.
This is like so hard. And first, like, your feelings are so valid, which I know can sound like my friends and I call it CKN, which is like a sound, like, like cringy, but like they are. And I don't want it to sound, I don't know. Sometimes I'm worried I can sound condescending when I'm being like sincere, but like, I think that like, it doesn't really matter the actual events that occurred or took place. It's about like, how we feel about these things. And like, it could be an instance that something wouldn't bother anyone at all. And like, they can have a lot of feelings towards it. And you could have been a different friendship interaction that you personally, caller, it wouldn't have affected you negatively at all. But someone else, it will have these exact same feelings that they feel, that you feel towards this. Like, so we all know our own friendships best way, like ourselves. And we know when things feel off. And I think, it makes sense that like you, towards the ends of it, you said that this feels like it's been like this is like a summation of the last 4 years. And this is like, sadly, a really common thing. And I don't think that because it's common, it means that it's something that we should get like used to or like complacent with. I'm like a over communicator, but when I'm like talking to like really close friends, like sometimes I can feel like I'm more inclined to internalize something, whether you're trying to like protect a friendship or you're trying to protect yourself and your feelings in that friendship, where it's like, well, if I say something and like it doesn't go over well, this person has the ability to like really hurt my feelings, like more than anyone else. So I want to play my cards carefully, but I always will advocate for, I don't think there's like a statute of limitations on like when your feelings are hurt. Like there's a reason why you didn't immediately say it. And there's a reason why that it's like still sticking with you. Like, I don't think you have to say, I think if you are comfortable saying something in the moment, you should totally go for it. But sometimes you need some time to kind of process, and you think that it might be something that you quote unquote get over or move past, or you don't think about more, but you do. And I think that like saying that to her, of just being like really honest of, hey, I know this instance had like passed a while ago, but this really hurt my feelings. And it wasn't just this one singular event. I think it's kind of, this felt like the representation that it feels like from my perspective that I felt like I've kind of been holding on to these friendships. And I don't know if that has been how you've felt, because I really do feel like maybe it's in my own head, but that if I didn't put this much effort in, like our friendship wouldn't be this way. And so it's made me pretty insecure about this. And so that voice in my head had some more ammo when this instance occurred and this happened. And it just really sucks because I like miss spending time with you. And I know our lives have like grown and changed, but I want our friendship to continue to grow and to change. But I also don't want to hold on to a friendship if this is something that isn't like a priority for you. Like, I'm not asking to be a number one priority, but like when it comes to friendships, like I want to be putting in what I'm getting out. And I don't know if this is feeling one-sided or if there's like a conversation we can have about this, but like I would be doing both of us like a disservice if I didn't say that like this situation just really hurt my feelings. You have an option when communicating with friends, I think, is, do you want to have a message where you just tell them that your feelings were really hurt and that you just need to get that off your chest so they know that that really hurt you? Or do you want to have a conversation about like where your friendship is going and finding a solution? Because there's not a solution to hurt feelings. And I think it's just important to know when you're going into it what you want. Because I've had both conversations. I've had both of like, we're not on the same page, things aren't working out, like let's figure this out. But then sometimes like my feelings just get hurt and there's nothing to figure out. I just like need you to know that hurt my feelings and I need some like recognition for that. And I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to know. So I think it's about figuring out what you want out of the situation. And then do you think that you're going to get that out of either situation, like by having that conversation? Because if not, then you might then prefer to do kind of more of a fade or a pullback. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think you have to. I don't know. I'm someone like, I'm not going to have a conversation. You and I both, we're ghosters, but I'm not going to have a conversation with someone if I don't think there's a high likelihood that you are going to like understand that you've hurt my feelings and have remorse about that, or that you're going to want to have a conversation with me and like change like the current situation. I'm not going to waste any of our time doing that if I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. At this point in my life, the friends that I have that I consider like friends, like I hold them very close and dear. And so if one of my friends that I'm like, this is someone that's not like a casual friend, this is one of my close friends, did this to me, I mean, I'm not on Facebook, but a Facebook message is so impersonal. It's not personal. It's not personal at all. And so that just feels like that she's someone that does not respect your relationship. She doesn't respect your place in her life as a friend. She just sees this as something casual. And so I personally, like, this would be someone that I probably, for me, at this point, like I just feel like we're all adults and I just don't have the time and energy to invest myself into people that it's not mutually beneficial for us as friends. And so if they're going to just treat me this way and they don't care how I feel on a day that's my birthday, that's super special to me, and aren't going to, call me or send a text message directly to me, or, maybe like post something on social media, like directly about me, then you don't have the same thoughts on friendship as I do. And so I'd give her one chance, but she's disrespected you on multiple occasions. But maybe just say, if you want to kind of do like a friendship exit interview, like this has been, over the blah, 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 however long we've been friends. I've cherished our friendship. I've liked when we've done blah, blah, blah. I just feel like recently that we haven't been on the same page. I thought I was invested in this friendship, but it doesn't seem like you're invested, just to cut energies, because it takes a lot of energy to be someone's friend. Then I don't want to exert my energy towards this friendship anymore. Yeah, I'm sorry that you have to go through this, and especially on your birthday. In how long have you been friends with her? In the past, how has she wished you a happy birthday or any other thing that's going on that's gone on in your life? Anything that, a big moment that she's been there to congratulate you, or even small moments, or even when you're going through something tough, has she been able to be there for you? I would look at this, might be the one thing that stands out as something huge, but look at it over the whole course of your friendship. Has she always been like this? Is there something else going on that caused it at this time? Is she going to do anything to make up for it? Does she know how upset you are?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I would handle it.
Maybe you've just been dealing with this bullshit and you didn't really recognize it, because this is middle school shit. I'm sorry, at 28, if you're sorry, my boyfriend's friend from high school is in town, I can't. No, what? That's just such a, and it's you also used to hook up with that guy. It's so weird to me. I also think that point blank, it's weird that if I'm scheduling something and it falls on someone's birthday and I'm planning something in advance, one of my close friends will be like, hey, did you want to do something on your exact birthday, or do you want to do it later? I just want to, we're a month ahead or a couple months. I haven't heard about it. And that's only if it's during the week. If it's on a weekend, I'm not scheduling anything because I'm assuming. But if it's on a Tuesday and I'm like, hey, did you want to do something for your birthday on Tuesday? I'm scheduling a doctor's appointment. I was going to schedule it for Wednesday or something, but I just want to.
You literally did that for me. This was when you were planning on having that surgery you're going to have, and then it didn't pan out that you're going to have it. But you were asking me, are you going to do something for your birthday?
Yeah, I just think
that that's just what a good friend does.
Yeah, so even in the actual practice of how she handled your birthday on the day of your birthday, that I don't think we're putting enough emphasis on the prior to your birthday. That's just a shitty thing in general. We talk about relationships aren't always 50-50. Sometimes you're giving more than you're taking, but I think friendships tend to need to be a little bit more of that. And there's leeway for understanding when people are going through things, but it's not about making up for the things that they lack. And friendship wise, that's not what any relationship is about. You need to be equal people coming into a relationship, not, oh, well, you're not as communicative, so then I will be extra communicative. You're not as caring, so then I need to be no. And I think that there is a good chance, like Melissa said, there's a good chance that this has been who she is and how her behavior's been. And you just might have grown up and matured and recognized oh, I'm done with this. And a relationship can serve you for a certain period of time, and then it's run its course and it's done. And it doesn't mean that you needed to have higher standards before. It doesn't mean that you should have ruled her out of being friends with you. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that at this point in your life, this is not the kind of friendship that you're looking for. And it sucks because I think it's, like you said, you have some other casual friendships. This person was your best friend. But I think if you take away that arbitrary title, has she been acting like a best friend? Because then you can't really lose something you didn't have. But I'm sorry, because this really sucks. And it would really upset me. But yeah, exit interview, have a conversation with her. And if this is something that she's remorseful of and actually has an action plan of things that we that can change, I think if you want to give her a chance, go for it. But I think bad friendships are far more draining than no friendships at all.
Agree. All right, next call.
Hey, Meghan and Melisa. I'm calling for some advice about dealing with my boyfriend's shitty friends. For some context, I'm 27, she, her, and my boyfriend and his two friends, who I'm going to call Kevin and Brian, are all 29, he, him. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years. Kevin and my boyfriend have been best friends since childhood, and they've both been friends with Brian since college. Everyone I've mentioned so far, including myself, identifies as straight, which I promise is important to the context of the story. I've never liked Kevin or Brian. I think they're really rude, annoying, condescending, and don't seem to have the same values as my boyfriend and me. While my boyfriend understands why I don't like them, he thinks that they're good guys who can just come off the wrong way to people who don't know them well. I've always made an effort to at least be cordial with Kevin and Brian,
and I've been willing to put up with them for my boyfriend's sake in the past, but after my boyfriend's birthday celebration last weekend, I have no interest in being around Kevin or Brian at all anymore. Basically, Kevin and Brian made a birthday cake for my boyfriend, which they proudly showed off and laughed at hysterically. The cake said, "Happy birthday, F slur," as in the slur used against gay people. My boyfriend and I were both very upset by this. We agree that it's not okay for straight people to use that word in any context, and Kevin and Brian both know that my boyfriend and I have a lot of close friends and family members in the LGBTQ+ community. My boyfriend explained to me that it was a word that he also used to use as a joke, but he grew the fuck up, unlike Kevin and Brian, and stopped using it years ago when he learned how hurtful it was. My boyfriend apologized to me for his friend's behavior and let Kevin and Brian know that they'd upset both of us. Kevin did apologize to my boyfriend and me separately, but he seemed way more focused on trying to convince me he's a good person than actually showing genuine remorse for what he did or openness to learning or changing. Brian did not apologize to me or my boyfriend and didn't say anything else about the situation. I told my boyfriend that, at least for now, I refuse to be around Kevin or Brian. I said that if he still wants to hang out with them, I personally think that's really embarrassing for him, and I will never understand why he continues to be friends with them, but I can't control who his friends are, I guess. My boyfriend has decided to take the approach of trying to educate his friends rather than cut them out of his life. He hopes that they'll be able to learn and change, and that then I'll be more tolerant of them. While I think it's great my boyfriend wants his friends to learn about social issues, I'm skeptical about how effective this will really be, and I've made it very clear that there's a pretty big chance I may never be open to being around them again. My boyfriend is upset and stressed about the fact that I don't want to be around two of his closest friends, but he understands that Kevin and Brian are the ones who fucked up, and he of course is willing to respect my boundaries. So, how do I try to get past the fact that my boyfriend is choosing to remain friends with these fucking assholes? Do you guys think I'm overreacting or being too harsh? Do you think I'm not being harsh enough? Thank you for any advice you can give. And I also want to note that, yes, this did happen during
Assumption was Pride Month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. These men are 29 years old.
Yep.
Okay. I know you've been dating your boyfriend for 2 years, but he's 29 and he didn't know that that was hurtful until college, because it's an inside joke with him and Brian, it's him, Brian, and Kevin, and him and Brian didn't meet till college. And also, you don't like these guys. You've never liked these guys. So this was quite literally the icing on the cake. That was literally.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But you haven't liked them since. So this has been a pattern of behavior. And now it was the literal writing that made your boyfriend be like, well, now it's time to educate them. And when did your boyfriend get educated on these words? Was that through you? Did you do the emotional labor of educating your boyfriend on social issues and these things? And then did he just go on his merry way and not correct the friends he was with? Did this not, I'm sorry, I just think that educating someone, maintaining a friendship based on the fact that you can educate someone, that's there's a time limit on that. And you've had some time, but now it's when it is embarrassing to you. Because that's what this is. Now it's no longer that these people are saying some stupid shit behind closed doors. They embarrassed your boyfriend. And I think they embarrassed him in front of you. And it reflects really poorly on him to you. And I think that's what he is the most upset about. Do you think if this had happened and you weren't there, he would have come home and told you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that he would have laughed about it? Do you think that his response would have been different? Because the fact that he's saying that he's no, I'm going to maintain my friendship to educate them, I would be I've never liked these guys for this very reason. What the fuck have you been doing this whole time? Because I'm sorry, if you've been trying to educate them this whole time, they're clearly not susceptible to it and not ready to it. So say the fuck goodbye. This is such an overt act of homophobia. This is so fucked that this is not the first thing. There's been so many of these steps to get to this place to where they feel comfortable doing this and they think they are in a good audience. And that audience included you. And this is no fault to you at all. But it makes me think how your boyfriend has portrayed you when you are not around is not to who you are either. You say you can't control who your boyfriend's friends with. No, but you can control who your boyfriend is. And no.
These men are damn near 30.
Disgusting.
I think the first time I heard the F word, I might have been 7 or something. And I have known since I was 7 that this is a bad word not to use, that it's a derogatory term not to use. There's no excuse for it at this point with these grown-ass men. I don't know what they do for a living, but they go around yelling it like where they work. Like, where do they work? They know that this is wrong. They know that this isn't something that's okay. Also, you've known them for 2 years.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
Have they shown any growth over this time at all? I'm sure they haven't. I personally do not have a lot of faith in your boyfriend because, as Meghan said, I think he's acting just the same way as he did when he was in college and just did and goes about it and just laughs things off. Maybe he doesn't actually say the word, but maybe he just laughs it off and doesn't course correct them in the moment. Like, Kevin apologized, but half-ass apologized, but Brian didn't. Also, like, how much more educating? Like, he clearly your boyfriend clearly enjoys hanging out with them. I guess he has fun with them. He's not just going to sit and educate them every time they're hanging out. They're having fun. So, like, your actions show how much of a good person you are, not your words. And so their actions don't show anything as far as them improving who they are. And, like, your boyfriend should be embarrassed to be their friends. He should be embarrassed to show his face around them. He should be embarrassed that he even is defending them in some sort of way. Because they're not, good people don't act like this.
No, and how clueless are they that he thinks, as a nearly 30-year-old, that the only way that they are going to be able to be educated is they need him to maintain a friendship in their life. Open a fucking book. Read some shit. But it's like, no, I want to maintain a friendship so I can educate them. If they wanted to be educated, they have every capability to do so themselves. And if now this is the time that you've decided you want to educate them, what the fuck have you been doing this whole time? And again, like, this is not on your boyfriend to educate them now. They are adults. They can do that shit themselves. And if he thinks that that is his responsibility and that he needs to do that, first of all, it's not going to happen. He's not going to do it because there's nothing to change. They're too fucking old for that. And if that was actually the truth, why the fuck would your boyfriend want to be friends with, like, literally 2 grown toddlers who are 30 years old? Why would he want to be friends with someone where it's like, I'm doing extra credit curricular, like a volunteer service, or I'm educating homophobes? Like, that's not what he's doing. These are what he's calling his friends. But, like, the amount of fucking work he would have to do to educate them is like a fucking seminar. And do you think that's what he wants to do? No, he wants to hang out with his friends. He's not viewing it as an educational tool. He's viewing it as friendship because he's not going to fucking educate them because he actually does not really care that much. His friendship, quote unquote, whatever he views that is more important to him than ruffling any feathers by stopping them from being absolute assholes. And you haven't liked them since the beginning. If your partner thinks highly of you and you do not like someone in their life, the only correct response to that, if someone that you are really close to, it's not a toxic relationship, is, what is this person seeing that I'm not? And what are the differences between this person and I? Is my partner of the opposite sex or gender? Is this person, is my partner not cis? Is my partner not, like, straight? Is my partner not white? Is my partner of, like, a different background? Like, is this friend of mine doing microaggressions, is being sexist, is being homophobic, is doing these things that don't directly affect or pertain to me, but my partner is picking up on them because it affects a group that they are a part of? Like, if you're in a relationship with someone and you don't like, that's what you do. Like, if I think highly of, like, you, Melissa, and you don't like someone, my instinct is, and I've liked them, my instinct is not like, oh no, they're really great, let me defend them. Mine is like, oh my, what happened? We have different life experiences. So it is completely natural and completely fine that I could miss something that they have done. But if I respect someone and I think highly of them and I care about them, my instinct is to find out what I missed, not to defend these people that I can't defend against an experience that I've never had, or like feelings that I don't have towards them. Like, it just shuts it down. Like, has your boyfriend even ever asked you like what it is that you don't like about these people? Because like, that's the part, if it's just like shutting it down, then it's like, you don't care what I think. They can't do any, you don't want to know. You want to remain blissfully ignorant in your fucking bubble. And you don't want anyone to come in here and rock the boat and say that what they're saying is not okay, because then you have to do some reflection of the fact that you've been laughing at this and creating an environment where they felt comfortable to bring a fucking cake that had the F slur on it for your birthday. How did they feel comfortable doing that?
You are the company that you keep. Your boyfriend not only calls them friends, but says that they're good guys who can come off the wrong way.
Oh, I forgot about that.
He thinks that these are good people. He thinks that they're good.
It's a misunderstanding.
Yeah, you just misunderstood what happened. You just misunderstood the whole situation. I implore you, caller, to look at your boyfriend, not for who he presents himself as when he's around you, but as the whole picture, because he's wrong. He tolerates these things to happen. Even if he might, correct them one time here, one time there. What's he doing in the big picture that shows that he is actually a good person that isn't just turning a blind eye to what his friends are doing?
Yeah. Like, who is he behind closed doors? And what would you think of him if someone that you respect and you care about heard him with these guys? Like, what would you like? I have no worries or fear or anything of that. Like, someone is going to overhear Mott's with his, like, I don't have to worry about him. Like, I don't have to worry about how he comes across, how he portrays himself, how he carries himself. I don't. At this point, you're going to then start making excuses for your boyfriend the same way that he's making for his friends, where it's like, you don't understand him. Like, he just comes across wrong. It's not about not laughing. It's not about being like, guys, come on. It's not about like a slight like redirection. No. It's like, you need to stop these things as they happen. There is no innocent joke when it comes to targeting a community that is relentlessly targeted and has violence against them. It's not funny. There's no joke in the matter of that, because laughing at these jokes and making these...
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Things okay, and making it be like, oh, it's an inside joke that we used to say this word, like it's a ha ha whatever. Like, no, people die for being gay. Like, people are killed for that. Like, it is not a joke. And I will be the first to admit that like there are so many terms and things that like we saw on TV as a kid that was just casual words that were being said. And when you're younger and you don't have adults to like let you know, like, hey, that's not something that you learn. You learn later. You learn whenever someone tells you, hey, this thing that has been perceived as normal in media as a joke. Like, I remember when people would say like, that's so gay to mean like stupid. And it's like, that was said on things that it wasn't
just
said in
on
NCT.
the playground. It wasn't
said in things that it was like, oh, I'm watching an R-rated movie, so I know the things in here are like illicit. It was said on things that were made for kids who were like 12, 13. Like, there wasn't that level of, I don't want to say censorship, but like understanding of that. So like it became on parents and adults and fellow peers, and just as more resources came and teachers to educate people and how that goes. And I understand that. I grew up with that. Like, there are like the R slur was a word that was in regular vocabulary for me when I was, I don't know, probably like 5th grade. And when I was I think it must have been like in 4th grade, that was a pretty common word in my elementary school. And we had a teacher, 5th grade, who had explained like how this was not an okay thing because she heard someone say it. And it was, I didn't know, but I was a child with other children. He is a 30-year-old fucking man. And what that did the first time, and it's not the first and only time I've ever been like educated on a terminology being derogatory or hurtful or harmful to certain groups. What the first time that happens, you then go, I need to pay attention to every word I hear from now on and make sure that I am going out of my way to educate myself, because I come from a position of privilege that I am not going to be having a lot of derogatory words used against me for the vast majority of the things that I'm privileged with. So it's on me, where I've been educated before. So I'll be educated again. So I have to go seek that out. And that has happened to them too. That is not a unique experience. It's happened to literally every child at some point, like truly.
Mm-hmm.
And we think of the old fucking people who are so set in their ways, like, we can't say shit anymore. I'm like, no, someone told you 25 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, that what you said was offensive. And in that moment, you said, fuck that. I don't care. This isn't the first time you've been told something's offensive. This is, you've decided that you don't give a shit.
Yeah, I was recently around someone that's older, and they were saying things that were of the norm when they were growing up and are not of the norm. And they're like, and they had said like everything. I would correct them and educate them on why it was wrong, why what they were saying was wrong. And they said, everything I say to you is offensive. And I was like, everything that you've said has always been offensive. It's always been offensive, but people now feel more empowered and are educating others. So now it's your job to listen and learn and then take it and do the same. All right, let's take a break.
Okay. Okay, we're back. Hi.
Hello.
Roll the tapes.
Hi, Melissa and Megan. I'm currently dealing with a major fuckboy situation, and I'd love some advice. I'm 29 and use she, her pronouns, and the story is mostly about a guy I was kind of seeing who's 28 and uses he, him pronouns, and we'll call him Spencer. In December of 2021, I had a really bad breakup with the guy that I was with for a year and a half. We were living together with my daughter, and it was just a really hard time. After a while, I felt ready enough to start talking to other people, but I wasn't seriously looking for anything, but it was nice to get attention, and it's fun to flirt from time to time. In about March or April of this year, I met Spencer on Hinge, and we started talking every day, and we were really enjoying getting to know each other. After about 2 months of talking, we finally decided to meet up, and we had a really fun date and ended up hooking up that night. The next morning, he was holding my hand and giving me forehead kisses, so I thought we really hit it off. So I was confused that he wasn't reaching out as much after we hung out, and when we did talk, he was saying how I wasn't as affectionate as he thought I'd be, and how he felt like I didn't like him. Even though I tried to reassure him that I did, I just didn't want to be all over him and scare him off because it was the first date. We kind of kept talking for like a week after that, and he kept saying the same things about me not being into him, and eventually we just stopped talking. So this morning, I woke up to a text from him just saying hi, so I casually said hi back. He then proceeded to send me a message saying that I gave him chlamydia. I was super confused because I hadn't gotten any symptoms, and it caught me off guard as we hadn't talked in like 2 weeks. I told him that was weird, but I would go get tested immediately, and he said good, because I got tested a week before we hooked up, and you're the only person I hooked up with without a condom since then. And that made me even more upset and confused. I told him he was the only person I had slept with in the last 6 months since my breakup. Then he literally said to me, "It sounds like your ex got it and gave it to you right before he broke up with you." I went this morning and got tested, and I've spent the whole morning pissed at my ex, but I was talking to my coworker, and she thinks that Spencer's been gaslighting me this entire time. She's obsessed with this podcast and told me to call in, so I'd really like to hear what you guys think. Also, I'm a Sagittarius, and he's a Scorpio with a little dick, so I feel like maybe I should have seen this coming.
Oh, wow. First of all, your coworker sounds like a wonderful person. Holy shit, men.
This is where my brain immediately went. I may be wrong. He knew he had chlamydia the whole time, and he slept with you, and he wanted to, he gave you chlamydia on purpose. Also, please, 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 this is for everyone. please do not have unprotected sex with anyone, regardless if you're on birth control or not, unless you're in a committed relationship, a monogamous committed relationship. You never, ever, regardless if someone tells you that they've been tested or anything, like, you never fucking know. And there's just a lot of things that you can contract that can be detrimental to your health. So please do not have unprotected sex unless you're in a monogamous committed relationship.
Yeah. And I'm sure you're beating yourself up about that. And like, you know that. I agree. Like, I hope I'm wrong. Like, I hope he didn't purposefully try to give you chlamydia. But that is also where my gut is going. And that's also a part of the reason why it's like so wildly important. Again, I don't want this like caller, like, I don't want you to feel like this is like me preaching to you, because like, you know, like, I'm sure you're beating yourself up about this. It's like to everybody else, like, this is also why it's really important to use condoms, is because like, I don't know, we're so fucking afraid that like every single person is going to be like a serial killer and is like coming for us and all of that. Like, when like these intentional sexual offenses of intentionally giving someone STDs, that is something that is a much larger threat to actually all of our lives than us getting kidnapped by someone that we don't know. And it's these things that can feel like absolutely outlandish, but also somewhat so wild that they also don't even seem very harmful, but they are. And it's really fucked that is something that like you can only control your own body. And that is something that like in these instances of when you're having consensual sex with somebody, protection needs to be regardless of how much you like this person and how much you like your gut tells you that they're like great and that they would never do anything nefarious like that. Like, consensual sex is only consensual if you know what you're getting yourself into. And that is like Melissa said, unless you're in a committed monogamous relationship, I don't think that is a risk that I think it's a risk we need to talk about more. It's not just about take my word for it. It's
you might not even know. You might not even know that you have something. Let's say even like with HIV, like you could get tested and it could be like in the incubation phase for 6 months. And you don't even know.
Or HPV. Like for a lot of people with penises, HPV doesn't show any symptoms. And so they like haven't displayed anything. And so maybe you didn't ask for that specifically on a panel of what they got tested for. Maybe the last time someone got tested, it was after they had tested positive for gonorrhea and they got a second test to make sure they were clear of gonorrhea and they didn't get tested for everything all over again. And then you can get that and it's much more harmful to someone with a vagina. And it's just like, as a whole, you can only consent to what you know what's happening. And that needs to be a part of it. So for everybody else, I can't imagine, and if anyone wants to call this, oh, this is reverse sexism, I can't imagine that not wearing a condom on the first time that you meet someone that you end up hooking up with them was your idea. And I am not imagining that he had a condom and you said, no, I don't want to use this. But like, I think that when it comes to like our own sexual health, like we should have these things on us. We should have this protection. But if he showed up to your place and didn't bring anything and still wanted to go through with having sex, that to me is like a major red flag that he knew exactly what he was doing. And then the whole, you're not that into me, all of that just seems kind of like mind games to be like, I want you to feel indebted to me. I want you to feel like I'm trying to make myself look like, oh, I'm a victim. Like, oh, you're not nice to me. I'm trying to get you to like be over the top with me. And I'm trying to get you to feel like you have to coddle me and you have to give me all of this reassurance. And then I'm going to make you feel like you are then tied to me and that nobody else is going to deal with these things besides me and that we are in this together. And it's like, I hate that that's like a thing. And like, I hope that a lot of people had no idea that was ever like a thing that people do, but it is. And like, it's fucked. And there's also maybe even a chance that he doesn't even have chlamydia and he's just trying to scare you and control you to see what your reaction is. Or he does. And he's not trying to, he didn't intentionally try to give it to you, but the rest of his actions don't line up.
Mm-hmm. So after you get your results back, positive or negative, let him know. And then after that, block him completely and don't ever talk to him again.
Yeah. And if they are positive, make sure to give the clinic you went to or the doctor you went to, like, tell them, like, hey, I let this person that I slept with know. I do think there's a chance they may have given it to me intentionally. So I'm going to give you their name and their phone number. Like, they can't let you know medical records and things like that. But when it comes to intentionally, even at the potential of intention, like the possibility of someone intentionally spreading STDs around they can look into things and call him for an appointment and then get his last sexual partners and find out those things to do that. Like, if STDs and STIs, a lot of that like contact tracing thing that we've used in COVID is also used in these instances, which is why it's important to get tested and also let the people that you have who could have potentially also gotten this know, because it helps this network of doctors and doctors be able to protect their patients and treat their patients. So,
yeah.
Well, let us know. And we are sending you thoughts, hoping that it comes back negative, but also if it doesn't, that is like no reflection of like you and the person that you are. And I know that you don't need me to tell you that, but like there's so much stigma of STIs and STDs being correlated with like moral failures. I want to make sure that like you know that even if it comes back negative, like it's okay and it's going to be okay. And like you're not alone in any of this. And there, again, having STDs has like no moral correlation, and like it's not a moral failure. It's just medical things. It's just something that happens. And I don't want to negate that it can be like incredibly hard to deal with, like emotionally and physically, and like something that alters your life, but it's not something that is like a reflection of you or who you are, unless you want that to be something for you. Like it is whatever it is for you, but morally or anything, it doesn't,
it doesn't define who you are.
Yeah. But I'm sorry. This is also must be just like such a like mind fuck of like stress for the last couple days of waiting to hear back. So I'm so sorry. Ugh.
All right. Next call.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. In this story, unless otherwise stated, we are all 20 or 21-year-old third-year college students. My friends and I are concerned about one of my friends, we'll call him Max, seeing a 35-year-old man we'll call Frank. Max lives with 3 other college dudes, and we're all in a friend circle. I started hearing about Frank in May when he started visiting Max's house more often. Max's roommates have met Frank, but as a group, we don't know much about him. Apparently, Max met him online. They've gone on several weekend-long camping trips without telling Max's roommates. Max doesn't share his location and won't tell his roommates where he's going. His roommates have expressed concern for his whereabouts and safety a number of times, even to Max, but Max seems indifferent. Additionally, Frank has made Max's roommates uncomfortable a couple of times when he'd be at their house unexpectedly. For example, one of Max's roommates woke up at 4 a.m. and found Frank sitting on their couch in their living room without Max, which startled my friend. Frank also leaves some of his stuff at their house when he goes over, and has in the past left his bike and an axe. Today, Max's roommates told me that they just found out that Max and Frank have been talking since Max was a freshman, living in the dorms. Max was going through a hard time that year, and we think that that was an opportune time for Frank to enter his life. Frank allegedly travels to our state pretty often, but none of us know where the fuck he comes from or why he's seeking out college students online. Max is not out yet, so none of us are supposed to know this much about their relationship. We are very concerned that he's being groomed. We don't know how to confront him about this without forcing him to come out to us. He's already a very private person, and we don't want him to shut us out. The girls in our group have expressed that if Max were a girl, we would have shut it down so quick. The guys have said that they don't want to interfere with Max's happiness, but surely there's a safer way for Max to explore his sexuality when our college in the town we live in has a thriving and accepting queer community. Is it possible to confront him about our concerns without outing him, and how do we look out for his safety? A lot of us are traveling out of town for the summer, leaving only one of Max's roommates to talk to him directly. Should we have the roommate do the talking, especially since they'll be roommates next year when they move to a new city? What reason could a 35-year-old man have for keeping shit and hanging out at a 20-year-old college kid's house? Love the podcast. My friend was a past caller, and we'd appreciate any advice from y'all. Have a good day.
I think it is important to note that, like, we are, anyone who's new here, we are two cis straight women, that's just a fact. I do know that this is sadly a very prominent thing in the gay community. I've since learned it's also pretty common in relationships with like two women, whether that's lesbian relationships, bi relationships, pan relationships. The only experience I have of seeing it firsthand growing up in my life, and then also as I got older in friendships and seeing that, is with two men. That's kind of my knowledge for it. So I have a little bit of more knowledge of that. And I do truly think that when it comes to those large age gaps and the people who are more susceptible to being in large age gap relationships, it does pretty much track across the board, regardless of the sexual orientations of both parties and what the relationship is. Like, the origins of that is pretty similar. And that is that it is a person who is trying to set the stage for what a relationship is and like how that works. And so it happens to people who have not been in long-term relationships or have had a lot of attention from whatever person and whatever gender that they are attracted to. So that spans all of it. It does tend to happen in gay men specifically because, like, a lot of the time, like your friend Max isn't out right now, probably went through high school without having any like public or relationships. And because people have been pushed in the closet for so long, as opposed to heterosexual relationships, like, there's more opportunity for predatory older people to tell a younger person that this is what a relationship is, because they don't have that experience, because they have been pushed into a closet and haven't been able to get out. And so I think it can also has a portrayal of someone you can look up to and someone who is a part of a community and like living their life in a way that they want to. And that also adds a level of power. And that's what age gap relationships are. It's power. You did mention that it started when he was 18, because I'm not hesitant to use the term grooming in general, but I'm hesitant to use it in the wrong context, because this does feel like now it might be because of what they said.
Yeah, I looked up like what like the American Bar Association considers grooming, and it says sexual grooming is a preparatory process in which a predator gradually gains a person's or organization's trust with the intent of being sexually abusive. The victim is usually a child, teen, or vulnerable adult. So in this case, your friend is the vulnerable adult.
Yeah. So I think that the only caveat I'll say is if a sexual relationship hasn't yet started or has only started now, then I think by textbook definition, it would be considered grooming. If the sexual relationship had started already, that's just a predatory relationship. It's not grooming, because it's gaining the trust and the friendship with that intent later down the road. But yeah, I do think initially I didn't know, but I do think after the caveat that it was 18 going through a really hard time and now it's seemingly romantic or sexual, that this is grooming. And you kept saying you don't want to out him. So what it sounds like is he's not actually even out to you or out to like your friend group, just maybe his room, like the roommate or a couple other people. And I mean, my advice honestly is to spend as much time with like Max as you can and being close to Max. And this might be like a very backwards way of doing this, but I think like making Max feel comfortable to bring Frank around you and bring Frank around your friends. And I think that the thing that is a really big issue with this is if someone has built a relationship in secret and private, it's because that person has told them that everyone else is dangerous. Everyone else is going to be anti this. They're prepping him to be isolated against everybody. And I think as a friend, what you do is you don't let that happen. But I don't think the solution is trying to isolate him from someone who told everyone that this is what's going to happen. Your friends are going to turn against you. Everyone's going to turn against you. They're not going to understand. So I think the more that you can include Max, and it doesn't even like, if you don't feel comfortable, like you said, your friends, like the axe thing, I take it back. I don't want Frank to hang out with you all because I forgot about the axe thing. But if you can make Max's life without Frank and the community so vibrant, so rich, so fun, that it becomes, these people wouldn't turn on me. These people are people I really care about. And I think if you can display unconditional love and respect and just like joy and happiness and spending time with him, like you recognize he went through a hard time. I think if you can have a surplus of that in his life, it makes it really hard to rationalize what Frank is probably saying about all of you. And I don't think that there is a way that you can separate them unless it's his own idea. Frank is creating a separate reality for Max that they are living in, that the world is against them and that everybody like just wants to see him fail and nobody will understand him and they will never get how, like what he's going through. And he's the only person who can ever love someone who's so damaged, so broken, who's been like this is a gift and like no one will ever get it as much. And so what you don't want to do to somebody who is living in an alternate reality is to shatter that reality. Then they're untethered. They have nothing. What the fuck do? They're not going to let that shatter. They're going to hold on to that. What you do is you create like the real truth, the real reality, but the good parts, not the bad parts, not that we're really worried about you. Like you create something and these wonderful friendships that makes that a crack in the other one. Like you make the one thing so good and so real and so true that it starts to shatter the other image. And from there, that is when you'll notice that he's probably going to start talking about him more. It's not going to be as much of a secret, or he'll want to bring Frank around you all and Frank will be so against it. Like it needs to come from him because it is like a psychological thing and it's actually not helpful for Max to like rip him away from Frank because there's no growth and healing in that. And it's either going to backfire in this exact instance or it's going to get into a worse relationship.
Yeah, I think one way to put in practice what Meghan was saying was you say that Frank takes Max on these camping trips where he's essentially isolating Max away from the rest of you all. Sit down and have a conversation with Max and be like, hey, I know you like to go camping a lot. What do you like about camping? What's so like intriguing about it? Why do you like to go? And then be like, why don't we all go on a camping trip? That just could be one way. And then he can see how much fun it is to be around his friends that care for him. And you guys can still go camping and just enjoy the things that he likes to enjoy. Yeah, like Meghan was saying, just be there for him as much as possible and show a genuine interest and curiosity for what he's going through in his life. And, you know, you did say that Max sometimes shuts down quickly. Maybe change your approach to what's going on. Me personally, I'd find out everything that I could about Frank. Like, what's his last name? I'd search on the internet, just find information just because, like, what do I look like hanging out with a 20-year-old?
Yeah.
Like,
it's really grossly common.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it portrayed on TV a lot. I've also heard other people discuss it, but they don't see what's wrong with it.
Well, I think the cycle of this, which I think has been why we keep perpetuating this, is like at least the people in my life who I know, who I watched them date people that was like really inappropriate. When I got older and I found out who their first sexual partners were with, it was someone who's like 25 years older. And because we've normalized it so much, instead of recognizing like, oh, this was an unsafe and bad situation, in order to process it and deal with it, it needs to be okay. So I need to do it to someone else, so then it's okay. And it's not. And it's also something that I find happens a lot in heterosexual couples when parents are in very large age gap relationships. They can be, moms specifically, can be really adamant that their kids should be doing that same thing too, because they did it and they need it to be okay. And that's like, it's a really sad thing. It also doesn't excuse the practice when you're older, because we all go through shit and like you have to deal with it, and perpetuating the cycle of abuse is like not a way to deal with it. And like it might feel easier in the moment, but it's not. The way that you get close to someone, I think, is not about having, because I'm someone who's like, I would say I'm relatively emotionally closed off, like even with like close friends. Like the way to get close to me is to not try and have deep conversations with me. The way to get close to me is like, I want to feel comfortable with you. And that's not because like we're talking about like really deep life things, or we're talking like it's time and proximity and just comfort and like vibes or whatever. Like, so I think that the approach of this is not about how, if he shuts down and how we talk about like these things with him and bring these things up, like it's not. Frank was able to get in here because he saw a door, and that door was something traumatic Max was going through, or it was the fact that Max didn't have a strong circle of friends, didn't feel like he had people he could trust. So you be those people. And that's all there is to it. It's like being a really great fucking friend. And like Melissa said, planning a camping trip. Like you love to camp. Like tell me all about it. Like I really want to get into this. Like have you ever seen this? Like I want to go take a pottery class this weekend. Like do you want to come do this? And it doesn't even have to be like, oh, well, we know that he takes him on Saturday, so we're going to plan something on Saturday. Don't do that. Plan something during the week. Make things feel like it's not that he's missing out on everything because he's having to choose one or the other, because that might raise red flags for Frank and then raise red flags for Max. But like, hey, do you want to have like a movie night after class on this date? I really want to go see this new movie. Or like, tell me about your favorite movies. Like, I want to like, let's make a list and like we can watch one once a week, once a month. But like making a life that he doesn't want to escape and leave to. He doesn't want to isolate from that life. I don't want you to forget why you're doing this, but I kind of want you to forget why you're doing it in the moment, because it needs to come from a really sincere, genuine place. And it's not about getting like Max away from Frank. Yes, in practice, that's obviously the goal, but it's shit. How is this person that we care about and love so much? What has happened that has led this person to take advantage of them? This breaks my heart. I hate this. I don't want this to happen. I need to be a better friend. Like I want to create a friendship and spend time with him. So whatever he's going through, whether he wants to share that or not, that he doesn't feel like that's the only place he has to turn to.
Right.
And if you can't eliminate the savior part of this, then you need to back off. And the friends who can need to be the one doing this. Because like it is a very delicate situation. But I agree. Like find out everything you can about him simultaneously. Maybe some of you do one, some of you do the other, and being able to keep tabs like relatively that you can, like do that. But I don't want to say it's like a Max problem versus a Frank problem, but you're not going to get to a 35-year-old man and convince him to no longer be doing this to young kids. Like what you have is a friend.
Yeah, that's not a position that you as fellow 20-year-olds want to be in either.
The goal can't be turning Max against Frank, because as a whole, as a society, the goal is to not have Franks out there, to not raise Franks. But as a young person going through this, the goal is to support your friends. And so these horrible people and these horrible instances and stuff, they have a life raft to get out of these situations, and like not to victim blame, and to not put onus on him, and to not then try and take it down from any other direction. So yeah.
All right. Time for Don't Blame Them.
Ooh. So Don't Blame Them is where a listener will call in with their own advice pertaining to a call we had on a previous episode. So maybe they have personal experience and it was a call that we didn't have any personal experience with, or maybe they have someone by proxy who they know dealt with that. Maybe they're a professional in a field that's related to it, or maybe they just heard something or thought of something that we didn't, or anything else. And they're going to give some of their own advice to the original caller.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. This is a call in response to the caller on the last episode with the boyfriend who has a fear of flying. I have a couple of points that I wanted to point out. My extended family are native to Hawaii, and a long time ago, I had family who moved here and they married people in the Midwest, which is how I became to be. I would not consider myself Hawaiian, obviously, but I still have a ton of extended family there who continue to live on the island and marry natives and have kids with natives, like as they are natives themselves. And when we have visited in the past, I would definitely agree that the island is no longer full of natives, and it's a ton of tourists and a lot of military, which takes up a lot of the island of Oahu. I just wanted to say, if you're going to go there, since obviously people still will, which I wouldn't support, but people still will, it's important that if you are there to only support local Hawaiian businesses while there. A nice fact to know is luckily there is a Hawaiian island that is only open to 100% natives to the island, and they must be invited to be able to visit. My other reason for the call is that my brother is a pilot and sees people scared of flying on a regular basis. He will try and help and say flying is the safest form of travel, but ultimately it is a fear that people have, and pressuring your partner to fly is not going to be a fun situation for him or for you. If your partner is willing to fly and willing to try, they could potentially go talk to their doctor about getting a flight anxiety medicine and do a lot of research about how safe the travel is and the extensive training that pilots must go through. But ultimately, it can be a super scary situation, and if the motion sickness is the issue, do you really want your partner to feel sick the entire flight? I would personally just go to the wedding without them and either bring a friend or go alone and enjoy your time with your friends, like your partner said, because even if he came, he probably wouldn't have a great time, and he would probably be full of anxiety about the previous flight, being at a wedding with a bunch of people he doesn't know, and then having to fly again. Longtime listener of the podcast, have literally listened since the first episode, so thank you so much. Hopefully this helps.
I think this is great. I obviously don't want to step on anyone's toes with this, but I think yes, supporting local Hawaiian businesses is great. I just want to make sure that we're not the defeatist kind of mentality, which I think is very valid for anybody who is native to Hawaii or has roots, that a family who's native to Hawaii, that I don't think you should have, I'm not saying have higher standards for non-Hawaiians, but I just think that the only reason I say this is because I saw a brand, Benefit Cosmetics, did a trip to Hawaii, an influencer trip in the midst of this pandemic. And their justification behind it was we're supporting local Hawaiian businesses. And they supported the sunscreen, but the hotel they're staying at is not owned by that. And I think when we see corporations kind of using that as a catch-all, we have to be really intentional with how we speak about that, because I think if you're going on a work trip to Hawaii or you are a part of a military, you're married to someone who's in the military and they've been assigned there, I think that there's ways that, that Native Hawaiians have said that please purchase from here if you are already here and doing all of this stuff. But for corporations and organizations that have a choice to go to so many other places that are so wonderfully beautiful, that you can only support Native Hawaiian. If that is something that you're doing as a compromise, it needs to be all encompassing. It can't be just a sunscreen. And I was really disappointed to see a makeup company doing that, because I know that they have the resources to go anywhere else, but they specifically chose this. And if there wasn't a massive 5-star hotel owned by and operated by, directly profiting nobody other than Native Hawaiians, then it is actually not possible for you to go and with your sole intent of only contributing to the culture and to the pockets of Native Hawaiians. Then it's not possible. And then it's not a matter of, it's either you didn't try hard enough or it's not possible, in which case I think hey, we have the means to not do this, when a lot of other people don't. A lot of people get stationed there. People move for jobs there. And sometimes, it can be a luxury to turn those things down. So I don't disagree with that sentiment at all. I just don't want us to then see brands who do that and use it as an excuse and use that without any further questioning of, tell us exactly how you did that and what you did, because you have the money and the resources to make this choice. And was that the right choice? And last thing, we did get a DM update from the original caller, who said, "Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the tough love on the podcast yesterday. For context, I called in about my boyfriend's fear of flying. 1, for some reason, I thought the conversation around Hawaii was COVID related, so I appreciate the additional insight. Planning a new domestic dream now. 2, what you said to me made me realize is what I was doing to what my parents did to me, which is very toxic, and I really hate, and I'm very embarrassed that I even did that. I have severe OCD and anxiety since I was 8, which caused me to fear most normal/good things in life. My parents didn't respect that, so they forced me into fearful situations daily. Sometimes that forceful push and exposure did help, so I just assumed that if I could conquer my fears that way, so could my boyfriend. I plan to apologize for not respecting his boundaries and have an open conversation with him later. I also probably need to book another therapy appointment ASAP. Thank you again so much. I was so happy to read that and see that. I think this is like a subtle version of if it's hysterical, if it's hysterical, it's historical. Where sometimes when we react to other people and not situations that are happening to us, we can sometimes come off really strong and like really intense and like just really kind of not ourselves because we're coming from a place of this has happened to me before and now I'm acting this out again, but on the behalf of someone else.
Exposure therapy only works if the person that's going through it has consented to it. And he has not consented to being exposed to this.
Yeah. And sometimes like when those shitty things happen, we don't want to think that our parents are bad people. And so we sometimes think if there's nothing wrong with looking at things with rose-colored glasses when it pertains to your own life. And if you would rather be like, you know what, I can't deal with the possibility that this was harmful and my parents were harmful to me. So instead, I'm going to say that this was a helpful thing. I'm not specifically saying that this is what they think, but just in general. And that's fine, but you can't push it onto other people that same way because that is then just continuing that cycle. And I think I'm glad that they've caught it now and have like understood that that's really not how it is. But sometimes, yeah, the ends justify the means. And again, that's a very fine thing to do in your own life. It can serve you for a certain point, or that could serve you forever. But we just need to make sure that if we are doing that, we know that we're consciously doing that and we're not projecting that onto other people. So I'm glad. And also the Facebook group did a wonderful post of beautiful places besides Hawaii that non-Hawaiians could go visit. Ventura, California, Pismo Beach, California, La Jolla, California, Tillamook, Oregon, Santa Cruz, California, Catalina Island, California, the original authors from California. Some other comments from other people, Newport, Rhode Island. But yeah, so this is something that like me personally, as someone of European descent, I'm on stolen land. And so I think that researching where you go anywhere is really important. I don't want us to ever think that it's, well, we're always going to harm someone, so might as well like fuck off. Like that just to me is driving a car on fire without a seatbelt. Like we have these precautions and these things that I think it's important to take into consideration because there's always something that you can do to give back to a community where you are, whether that is like your current grassroots, like local community, if there's an underprivileged, underserved area that you are in. I think that there's always things that we can do and it doesn't have to be, I think it's a wonderful opportunity that like we have to support whatever we can where we are to like learn about like the history, like past and present. And that when conservatives talk about like, well, if we don't like have all these statues, like history will be doomed to repeat itself. But no, that's not what that's this. If we ignore these things, then we continue to perpetuate colonizing and like abuse and terror. And so, no. So I think it's great and happy that there's some insight there. That's it for our episode.
Let me see if we have any reviews. All right. This is from Cheeseman Customer. Refreshing. 5 stars. I'm an older woman, so much of what they say doesn't apply directly to me, but they're able to address subjects of relationships, sexuality that I wish I had had available to me when I was a lot younger. I definitely recommend it. And for older women, this would give you good insight into what younger women are thinking and saying.
Huh. I never thought about that last part. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I've had people who've like watched my YouTube channel because they're like parents and like they're like moms and they're like, well, my kid watched it and like I wanted to like not monitor what she was watching, but like see what she was interested in and like see what she would like. And they have kind of gotten into like YouTube for that as well. And I think it's a cool way to, you know, listen to those things and then also know if you work with younger people or you just have like younger people in your life, it can be intergenerational thing can be cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We hope that everyone enjoyed the episode. If you want to leave a review, please do on the Apple Podcast app. And you can also head on over to Spotify and review. And if you are still listening, go follow our Instagram and comment on the latest picture. comment on it what your sun sign, your astrological sun sign. I wonder if we have like a very big disbursement. Even, I mean, obviously we won't see everybody's, but like if it's going to be concentrated with the people who then end up commenting or who listen. I'm curious how many we have of whatever.
Okay.
Well, that's it for the episode. If you want to call in for next one, please do. Always looking for more calls. Same thing with updates. Shoot us an email if you have an update and we can schedule to have you on the episode. And we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Don't Blame Me is a production by me. Executive produced by Melissa DeMonts and Diamond Imprint Productions. Edited by Coco Lawrence. Post-production sound by Chris Henry. Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson. Music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
Do you love Disney? Do you love top 10 lists? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And I'm the Dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. The parks, the movies, the music, the food, the lore. There is nothing we don't cover on our show.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed.
I had Danielle and Megan record some answers to seemingly meaningless questions. I asked Danielle, what insect song is typically higher pitched in hotter temperatures and lower pitched in cooler temperatures?
You got this.
No, I didn't.
Don't believe that. About a wish coming true? Well, I didn't either. Of course, I'm just a
cicada. I'm crying. I'm so sorry.
You win that one.
So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.